I don't need stick days when it comes to Joe.
Aw.
What's what's oh, the power phrase.
Yes.
All right.
I've just changed these now, so we've not talked about them, and nobody's given feedback on them yet. So I don't know if they're set in stone, but and we're about to stream, so I don't know if we've got time to chat about it now. But
Yeah, it's okay. That's okay.
yeah,
I'll be around. Well, actually, conveniently, all next week is spring break here for the school system.
awesome.
So-
Same here, actually. Yeah.
So I get a week off with pay. So that's kind of
Nice.
nice.
Ooh.
That reminds me, it is the holidays next week and the week after, and it's my birthday on Tuesday, so I won't be around for a bit. I'll be around in the evenings, but not on Tuesday.
Okay.
Really?
Right.
My birthday's 2 weeks.
What day's your birthday on
after
then?
that.
Is it? Oh, all the best people have birthdays in April. My birthday's on the 9th of April.
That's nice.
Mine's on the 13th.
We are live streaming, by the way.
There you go, Steve.
Oh, thanks for the warning.
Oh,
Hey, everybody! It's nearly
Hello.
my birthday. Yay!
I don't know where the link is, though. Maybe we're not. It says we are.
Hang on. Search.
Broadcasting, yeah.
let's see. Here we go. Live now.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Here's the link.
Oh, yeah, so we are.
Here we go.
Okay.
Live now.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Here's the link.
It just took a while to come up.
We've got messages already.
Wow, that was speedy. Hi, Jolteus.
Straight in there.
Jolteus?
I
Yes,
can't see the
Jolteus.
chat. Hang on a sec. I've got to get the chat up on the side. I don't know how to. Mini player, no. Default view, yes. There we go. Okay.
Hey, Henry. Ryan Joltis, this question: are you guys at a good point now in development, like supporting online play?
Yeah, we've actually were talking about that not too long ago. It's definitely on the compass.
Yes, we've been talking to our server partners, and they are going to set up an official test bed for us very soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll be working through making sure that all works, but we're there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Right. So. Do you want to start going fix you? Know what I'm like trying to talk and play at the same
I will.
time?
Yes. Okay. Well, let's start with the bigger parts of this week then.
We
So,
have got, sorry, just before we jump in, Scrub. Sorry,
go for it.
we have got 3 minutes until 8:30. So is it worth giving it 3 minutes for anybody that's coming to?
Yeah,
to
yeah,
arrive?
That's a fair point.
I suppose because that's a good idea. That.
People, I can see people filtering in. So
Let's climb
give it
the
a
bush.
minute. Could get some loot.
Just gonna check to make sure a few things that I did last minute were alright.
How have you been, Henry? Hey, Shade.
Hello.
Good. 1 more minute and we're good to start.
1 minute. What can we do in 1 minute?
Do one
1 minute of high quality content.
I'll type this in.
Sort of stay away from that area there.
Wise move.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, it's 8:30 by my clock, so
Okay, lovely.
let's get going.
Okay, well, welcome everyone who is here. This is our live stream going over the latest patches coming out tomorrow. It'll be out around about midday British summertime. So I don't know times anywhere else. Not off the top of my head. I have to look it up. So it'll be out in the afternoon sometime in United States around about lunchtime, Europe. But yeah, so we're here with Scrub, who's
Hello.
one of our developers. Myself, Ryan, lead developer. We're here with I don't know, is Chris here? I think
This is about, yeah.
Chris is probably in chat, I should imagine. Our 3D modeler. Joe, our story artist.
Hello.
And Laurie, our composer. And I think a couple of mods are with us, Tago and Jason as well. Is any of the other mods turned up? Or?
Nah, just the two of us today.
Yep. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is just sort of doing a quick 60 minutes of going over some of the new things that we've added in this week's patch, or this fortnight's patch, should I say. Not fortnight the game, but the fortnight is in 2 weeks. And
Have to clarify.
just to clarify, yeah.
Just have to clarify that.
So Scrub will be going over that with you, because I am absolutely useless at talking and playing at the moment. So I'm playing Jaws of Extinction patch 0230A on an i7 processor, GTX 1080 Ti graphics card, 32GB of RAM. So it's a pretty beastly machine. We are improving performance constantly with every patch that we do. But just to sort of like be totally upfront with you, the kind of machine that you will be watching the game run on. So go ahead, Scrub.
Yeah. So yes. So this patch has predominantly focused on AI, specifically their visuals, and there's a few reasons for that. But the long and short of it is that they have had a real makeover. They look completely, well, they're still Wanderers, but they now have their own look, they have their own clothes, they have their own hair. You've got both male and female varieties. It's been a real kind of visual overhaul on the Wanderers front, along with some animation work, some spawning work as well, other bits and bobs. So I think Ryan is about to engage. Yeah. So as you might be able to see, they've now got most of them spawn with now random clothing. There are sets of clothing as well, so you'll find Wanderers in police uniforms and fire officer uniforms and that kind of stuff. And the variety is pretty good. But it's also just a start. We're going to be increasing the number of clothes and varieties and different types of bodies. Oh yeah, that's another thing. The Wanderers have different physiques now. So you'll have some thinner, some wider. I'm sure my stream is a little behind Brian playing, but yeah. So a lot of this work has been geared towards where we want to go with the AI, and they got you.
Just on top of that, probably worth pointing out that currently they're all white because we don't have the other skins in, but there'll be different skin tones as well.
That is to change very, very, very soon.
Oh, you can maybe just go over that what we've, other plans that we've, obviously got with coming up with them as well.
Yeah, so a lot of the work this week is very much like a foundational bed for some of the stuff that's going to be coming out. This stuff that's in this patch kind of needed to happen for the AI, which means that it can grow a bit more. So the system we're using at the moment is something we've built called AIV2. That will eventually become AIV3. It's kind of what we're sort of working on in the background now. And yeah, this kind of visual stuff was quite important just because of the way, in which the Wanderers work, kind of beneath the hood. Just they need to be able to work with this visual style with these meshes and stuff, which they do now, which is great. And yeah, there's gonna be a lot more variety, as I said, more clothes, more hairstyles, more different types of Wanderer, and skin colors, physiques, all that sort of stuff. This is a start, even though I think the variety is already starting to show. Like there's a real range of different types of Wanderer you can encounter now, and it's only going to get broader. Some Wanderers even have like helmets and stuff now, where you'll need to knock off the helmet before you can properly headshot them. So there's some interesting things like that, which you'll need to think a little bit more about the combat. On top of all that, we've also increased the number that do spawn. So Hamilton used to have a fair number of Wanderers roaming around. I think the number is it 3 times as many? 5 times as many?
Five times the amount.
Oh, 5. Yeah. So it's a lot. There's just a lot more of them. You're going to need to be a lot more conservative with your ammo. You're going to need to be a lot more careful because there's more of them. You're not going to have. You're just going to have to be more careful who you engage with, and all that. Your stealth is maybe a bit more of a viable option now, just because you can't just take on everything that comes your way. Between limited ammo and just the overwhelming horde of them, it's something you need to really think about. Yeah, I think that is the main summary of Wanderers at the moment. More to come, but a pretty big change up this patch all the same. Have I missed anything?
Did you go over other plans that we got for them?
Yes, I talked a bit about some AIV3 stuff.
But also,
do you mean specifically?
Yeah, specific variations that we're. Basically, we're going to go have ethnic origins and different coloured skin, different styles of Wanderers, and we're going to even go into the realms of elderly and. I don't know if we want to mention the next bit.
We'll come to what you're about to mention. Yeah, we'll come back to that if that's all right. That is maybe a bit of a surprise. What you found?
A bug in the water.
That's a rare one, but yeah, that happens. It was the jitter that's been fixed this patch.
Right.
And you're getting underwater.
That's worse.
Good question. I'm not too sure. It may be if you let someone just kill you, then you'll respawn properly.
Well, you can try and sort that out. If you got chat.
Yeah, go for it. I'm sure there was a.
Yeah,
This
right.
is, sorry, just as a quick word on this.
Sure.
What Ryan has just done. This is one of the rarer bugs, but it does come up from time to time. It's not gone unnoticed, but there was an even more prevalent bug to do with crouching out of water that has been sorted this patch. So I think just inadvertently Ryan's managed to get the rarer one, but that will be sorted sooner or later. I think it's more to do with crouching when something's above you. So it might have just been that you were crouching out of the water at the same time, so having that sort of the bridge prop. But sorry, Joe, please do carry on.
Sure. Jolty has said, I hope with online service you will implement build limits and possibly a one huge base limit for groups. I play Conan and when there's no cap, the same guys build every freaking place, he said. So, where are we at with build limits and that sort of? We've not really talked too much about build limits, have we?
I think it's something that we're quite conscious of. I mean, it's hard to say the specifics now without really trying some things first. I think. I think we can all appreciate your point. I mean, I think we've all played plenty of survival games where building, like buildings are become a kind of such a significant part of the game in multiplayer that it's almost a hindrance to the game. I think we need to find our own balance for the game that works for us. So it's kind of, I think it's a little too early to say.
He's got no audio, so just type it in the chat. Okay, Bomdatel joined us, by the way.
Hello. Nice to see you.
Erica Palosari said that running animation needs some work. Arms bend a bit too much backwards and the shoulders are a bit weird. So do you want to talk about animations when Amy's running?
When Amy's running? I'm not too sure what to say about Amy running. I thought that was at first talking about the Wanderers, and I was only going to mention that there were some updated running which we think looks a bit better for the Wanderers. I'm not too sure what to say about Amy at the moment. I mean, we're like sorting out animations is something that is, I suppose, that's just ongoing. Like, we will keeping improving the look of Amy and making tweaks in whether it's her physically or.
We've got complete updates on all the animations for Amy. It's just that everything has to come in a certain order, and at the moment animations about shoulders and arms bending back too far and are not sort of like high priority. It's more sort of to content and optimization, getting story elements in, stuff like that. And we can animation. I feel animations you can always come up to. You got to remember, we're not even in early access yet. We're still in sort of like an early alpha stage. So yeah, I just feel that I got no bullets.
But stuff like, as I said, like stuff like that will, it's just ongoing. It will get filtered into the project as we're able to bring it in.
There's such a long list of stuff that we want.
Yeah.
Just can't do everything at the same time, unfortunately. Let's have a look. GT says he would give the zombies a variety of speeds as well. We know at the moment we're sort of running some speed. Just to make it a little bit more exciting or something like that. Yeah, that's an interesting point, yeah.
Variety is something certainly I'm keen on see what we can do more with. Not necessarily even just speeds, but starting positions for Wanderers. At the moment, when you encounter Wanderers, they are all just doing the same kind of patrol. They're not really doing much. They're not really interacting with the world in any particular way, which kind of makes it feel like they're just there for the sake of being there in some ways. But moving forward, one thing that we'd like to do is really make them feel like if you walk down the street and you encounter some Wanderers, make it feel like they were there before you. They didn't just spawn in. They're doing something in the world. It's somehow interacting, and they're doing behaviours which aren't necessarily just walking around for the sake of it. So yeah, that's something we've got some plans on that front.
Okay, that's it for questions. Just hellos. Gameology News with us. Hello.
Hiya. Ryan mentioned the roadblocks back there. So Hanauten's had some updates. So we've added these new roadblock sections to the game, which they pretty much they're just obstructions in the road, which are kind of like handmade by people. It's just a nice way of kind of restricting the road space a little bit, kind of make it a bit more of an enclosed area. Do you want to add anything to that, Ryan, about the roadblocks?
I can't at the moment.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, they're just a little way of with the increase of Wanderers and the changes, we just felt like it was a nice kind of way of zoning off Hanauten a little bit so that it's more of a contained space. And you're going to have to think a little bit more carefully about how you want to traverse the area. You can't just bolt down the road.
Yeah, basically it's going to be around the towns and cities and that. It's going to break it up, so it's just going to make it easier for everyone to get round and stuff like and stop, especially when we start introducing vehicles and stuff like that. You're gonna have to map your way round certain towns in vehicles, so it's not going to be so free roaming kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did you want to go talk about this?
Oh yes, the loot. Right, yeah, good example. So another big change that has come into this patch is we've really refined some of the looting aspects of the game and the generation of loot. So previously, loot was just found everywhere. It was kind of universally random. It didn't necessarily make sense. Whereas now, loot tends to spawn in the places you'd expect loot to spawn. So domestic items will spawn in houses, health items will spawn in pharmacies, and in this case, where you've got a section of guns, it's more of a kind of military style, defensive, this is a watchtower, so you're going to be finding some weapons.
Everything spawns in abundance at the moment because, when the game becomes multiplayer and we're further down the line in development, you won't see 5 or 6 assault rifles, half a dozen pistols. You won't see that. It will just be like 1 or maybe 2 if you're lucky. But while we're testing the game, everything's in abundance. You start off with craftable materials and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, we're wanting to test the game. So it may make it slightly easier, but we will balance everything like that as we get further along, and we feel like we can progress with the balancing of it. Carry on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, that's about the long and short of it, really. So you're just going to have to now, if you're looking for weapons, go to places where you think you might find weapons, whether that be military outposts, watchtowers, roadblocks, whatever it is. If you need food, well, maybe search some kitchens, that kind of thing. So hopefully it should be quite an intuitive way of finding loot. And to answer Ace's comment about can openers spawning in houses, can confirm they will spawn in houses if you're lucky enough. That's the place to go.
So as you can see here, I don't know if you mentioned about ammo spawning with the weapons now, did you?
Oh no, I didn't. No, good point. Yeah, so again, in the last patch, when you found a weapon, you didn't necessarily find any ammo with it. Now you will find a small selection of ammo accompanying every weapon that you find for the type that's required. So if you find an AK-47, then you'll find the 7.62 a box of that kind of ammo type that you need. If it's something like a pistol, you'll find the right kind of pistol ammo. So that should help you get going a little bit faster. You don't have to pick up a gun and then hope you find the ammo way later down the line. Yeah. Just while you're on the inventory, just a few other odds and ends from the week. There's been some updates to some bug fixes on inventory stuff. So there was a couple of duplication things going on that have been sorted. There's a really odd bug that happened when you hit auto manage with water bottles in your inventory, but that again is fixed. So yeah, just there's been a variety of bug fixes, mostly thanks to the Mantis reports that we've got from the game. So please keep them coming because they really are super useful. Always try and include as much detail as you can because believe me, it helps. And yeah, there's a variety of other various bug fixes that people have picked up over the last couple of weeks that we've sorted out.
Can I throw you a couple more questions?
Go for it.
Cool. Gameology News said, any updates to building?
There's been some bug fixes to building. There's not any new building parts just yet, but yeah, what's been changed on the building front is a couple of things that weren't working properly are now sorted, so your resources are showing properly. And there was also an issue where you could build items if you had one of each kind of resource you needed, but it wasn't actually checking if you had all the resources you needed. So that's sorted. And I also think there was another bug going on where it was taking away more resources than it should have been. So if there was any strange things going on when you were trying to build before, then hopefully those are all sorted now.
Awesome. Henry.
Log.
Henry DeRosa says, I sometimes get loot going through walls or into the ground. Have you guys done anything with that?
Not this patch. That's not something it's something we've thought about. It's actually, I mean, I would draw a parallel in a way to another issue that we've had of a fairly similar nature in terms of spawning AI. There's been a fix which we hope, we've done as much testing as we can, but we hope has sorted AI spawning in the ground. And by extension, at some point, I suppose we'll try and work in something similar for loot. Obviously, they don't, wanderers and loot are not really the same, but I suppose that there is a certain similarity, so it might be that we can do some things to stop that from happening in the future. I think that's the best answer I can give right now, because there's not really anything to say on it other than we haven't worked on it just yet, but we'll fix it sooner or later.
Awesome. Henry also said that I see you moved Amy's head to the side a little. We can now see what we pick up. So
Yeah.
Camera change there, is that right?
Well spotted. I found a Mantis report, I think, on that, so if that was your report, thank you for that. Yes, it's been moved to the side, so you can now see what you're picking up, because that was a problem. Amy's head was just constantly in the way.
GT says, are those the houses I can rent later? Oh, and Aces has put, indeed, underneath, yes, in the safe zone near Hanoughton. Like Aces High said, yes, those are the ones that you can rent. There'll be storage and things like that in those.
Yeah, so do you want to explain a bit about what you'll be able to do with it, with those places?
Yeah, so these cabins that you can see on the screen, just in the distance there, that are stacked up on top of the porter cabins, you'll be able, because this is inside a safe zone. Henry, yes, we do read the bug reports. This is inside a safe zone, so there'll be no zombies spawning in here. This is the places you can come to trade, rent these cabins. They'll have storage. If you upgrade them, you'll be able to have things like water containers and medical supplies and that sort of thing in them if you pay, and if your integrity is high enough to be allowed in the safe zone. We've talked about this quite a lot before, but integrity is a big thing in this game. So if you play as a people killer, so if mainly what you want to do is PvP, you can do it, but you won't be allowed in places like this, so it's going to be really hard to play the game. It's going to make like playing on really hard mode, basically. So yeah, these cabins you'll be able to rent, but only if you are held in good enough stead by the locals. So if they don't like you, you won't be allowed. Anything I missed there?
No, I think that was that covers it nicely, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Ryan,
I think
tell them about your sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I said, do you want to tell them about your sleeping bag?
Excuse me, yeah, so beforehand you've not been able to actually place campfires or sleeping bags in player block zones or building block zones like safe zones, towns, houses. Now you can. The only things you can lay down are campfires and sleeping bags. Yep.
So even if you've not rented anything, you'd be able to have the campfire and the sleeping bag down.
Yeah. That may change with the sleeping bags at some point in safe zones. But
are they still a single-use save point? Is that right? Respawn point.
Yes, they are a single-use respawn point.
Henry said, sometimes when I aim with gun, my crosshair doesn't show up. Is that my PC or a game thing?
It might be a game bug. If it's happening, then, I mean, if it's happening under some specific circumstance, like, I don't know, like it's hard to say without really knowing the specifics. But I mean, it might be a game thing. If it's happening, then let us know.
Yeah, stick it in a bug report for us and it can be looked at. GT says, in safe zones, I assume there will be vendors as well. Have you thought about vendors where you can buy stuff not only for bucks but for barter items, something similar?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, you're spot on there. Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. You'll be able to buy stuff with the in-game money, the bucks that you get. But yeah, also you'll be able to trade other things too. We actually, for a long while, we talked about, and we haven't talked about this for a little while, but I think it's still on the cards, talked about having an out-of-game app, so an app that you can have on your phone or your tablet, where you can manage your trading when you're not playing the game. We've not come back to it that recently, but yeah, we thought that would be quite a fun thing to be able to do.
But that'll be later on.
Yeah, that'd be a way down the line. Yeah.
All right. Well, while Ryan's out in the wilderness now, I guess there's a few kind of environment changes that are worth noting. So yeah, this week you'll see a new section of rocks. The old rocks have been swapped out for some nicer, better ones. And these are the ones you can harvest with a pickaxe if you can find one, and then you get stone from harvesting them, which is good. And this here is a new area. This is Tilly's Garden Centre, which is a completely from scratch new area packed with loot. With a new looting system, it means that all the loot is what you'd expect to find at a garden centre. So you're finding tools and bits of string and anything else that, you know, whatever you'd expect. Lots of plant life, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's a pretty kind of place. Well worth having a look.
As you can see, Ryan has written "shite bag" on the bags to compost. I'm guessing that's you, Ryan. Is that your logo design?
But all I'll say is it wasn't me.
Yeah. So there's your compost. Farming's going to be quite a big thing. It's not yet, but it will be. So you can grow and buy and sell your own food. Demented says, "Hi guys, sorry if I missed it, but did you sort the using items on selection wheel?"
The using items on the selection wheel. I'm sorry if I've forgotten something. I'm not sure what that is off the top of my head.
Were you having an issue with using them from the selection wheel?
I think he's referencing the ability to be able to select it while you're wheeling through the items instead of having to select the number associated.
Oh, I see. So like scroll through and click rather than scroll through and press a number.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't believe there's been any change this patch on that. But I mean, it's a fair point. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't think what you meant. But yeah, I mean, that's something we'll surely consider. Actually, it's probably worth talking a little bit about where we want to go for the next patch. Kind of relevant. We are going to be starting to look a little bit more into the vitals as the next week. That's just something that we want to make sure is right, because at the moment it's not quite right. And I know that, well, by vitals, you can see the vitals when you bring up the staff watch. When you bring up the staff watch, that's also where you can see what you've got equipped in your hotbar. So there's a bit of relevance there. So maybe that's something we can address as we're doing that. But the way in which energy works, making sure that when you're eating foods and stuff, that the energy is replenishing correctly. That's something that's quite important, especially now that we've made energy such a big part of the game. So yeah, I'm sure we'll address the whole quick selection thing when we're looking at the staff watch as a whole within the next couple of weeks.
Cool.
Maybe I'll find something useful.
Let's see. GT, I might protect my base from others while I'm not online on my PC. I just got my message and switch on some surprise trap. That's quite a cool idea. I've not thought of it as an extra use.
Sneaky.
And Henry said the wobble has been fixed. I've seen that mentioned a few times, but I've not looked at it. Have you guys been over that, I guess, the wobble?
Ah, the wobble, right, okay. That might be meaning a few things. So, for some people, we're saying that when they're moving, the camera shake is just too much. That is something we're planning on putting into a setting so that you can determine how much camera shake you've got. Because I think it's one of those things that just different people kind of interpret very differently. Some people don't really notice the camera shake, and then other people really notice it, and that's fair enough. So we've talked about how we can turn that into a setting. One thing that has changed, though, which might also be talking about, is the free look camera. So in the last patch, we changed some things on the camera so that the camera worked well with bolting. But as a consequence of that, just one of the things that kind of broke a little bit. It didn't really break, but it just wasn't working properly with the relook camera. Because what would happen is the camera would go at some crazy angle and you couldn't really use it properly. So yeah, that's been sorted out. It's as Ryan showed you just then. It's the camera stays level, and also we're trying to improve how the camera snaps back when you let go of the key, and then the camera snaps back to where it should be. That's a bit smoother as well. The area that Ryan's in at the moment, by the way, is also another new area. This is a bunch of derelict buildings that have been added. There's various bits of loot that you can find. If you're looking for somewhere maybe a little bit quieter off the beaten path to set up camp, then this might be the place for you. It's not a lived-in area. It's kind of out of the way, so still worth having a look though, because you never know what you might find. There's still some loot lying around. Actually, while we're on the subject of environment and stuff as well, just on the top of my head. Off the top of my head. There's been as we're adding these things, our approach to optimization we're conscious of it, to say the least. It's not like when we're adding these things, they are going in pretty well optimized. We're taking a lot of measures to make sure that they are game ready and game usable, so you shouldn't be seeing any issues specifically because of new areas added, because of how much work is being put into making sure that they're not going to be affecting the game. So yeah, that's something we're definitely been tightening up over the last few months. Just our approach to optimization, making sure that the stuff that's going in is right for Jaws of Extinction and all that. So what's the plan here, Aaron? With this building?
I was just showing that you can build in places like this. You can actually build it's not like towns and stuff like that.
I was thinking this was going to become a pièce de résistance. You've just sort of added to the derelict look.
Yeah, I kind of ran out of resource quite quick.
That would be the fixes to the the resource gathering.
Yeah.
Also to the building rather.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's all going to be balanced, isn't it? It's
definitely.
I didn't stop off anywhere. I'm going to have to go back to the garden centre to try and find a hatchet of some sort to try and chop some trees down. Yes.
Actually, I mean that's actually an interesting point of discussion. We were talking about in sort of like the middle of the week about chopping down trees and how, in some cases, chopping down trees might be it's a moment of inactivity in the game to some extent. So maybe it's not the most exciting, but on the other hand, it's very part of the survival aspect. And how do you balance it? And I think we were talking about how we can make it, make sure it stays fun. And we were thinking, well, you're chopping down these enormous trees, which take a little bit of time. So you should be getting quite a lot of lumber from them. So I think our approach moving forward is going to be that you're going to be able to get quite a lot of wood when you chop down trees, and hopefully you shouldn't need to spend all day chopping down trees. But you just do it from time to time when you need it, and you get lots of wood from it, and then you can put that into your build.
Stuff's spawning in the ground here, man.
Oh yeah. Is that the pivots though? It might just be that they're okay, but it's just the items themselves.
Oh. What's in the way? Is there something in the way? That's weird.
Invisible items.
Yeah. It's blocking my way.
Hmm.
I could be here forever for an axe.
But it's just because you need it, of course.
Yeah.
If you didn't need it, you'd walk into one of the tents.
Found
every
tin
axe. I don't think we found a tin opener yet. Everyone?
I don't believe I have. No.
Huh.
No. But to be fair, you're not looking in the right place.
No, I haven't been in any houses. So,
yeah.
That's where tin openers will. Houses and garages.
Mm.
Henry has asked, did you guys work on storage?
We haven't worked on storage this week. That is to come.
Yeah, we know it's a big thing, an important thing for being able to play long term.
Yeah, it's important to get it right, and we have plans for it. Unfortunately, those plans are they're not straightforward. They require a due amount of time. So it's something we're taking seriously. It's just that it's being balanced against other things.
Cool. Demented said, loving the new infected models and spawn rate looks better, more of a challenge. Yeah, it should hopefully be more of a challenge.
Certainly, we've been dying a lot more, so I imagine everyone else will as well.
Hey, Harrison.
Hello, good to see you.
What time are we looking at, peeps?
It is 9:05.
It's 9:05. That was a quick hour. Oh wait, what time did we start? We started at 8:30.
8:30.
It's not even been an hour.
No,
I was going to say that whizzed by.
I lost my axe. I picked up
You've
an
lost-
axe and I lost my axe.
I've done that.
I was careless of.
Sure it's not equipped?
No, it's a pickaxe I got. Oh. Hey, look. You knew, didn't you? Let's put another seat bag down just for some safe measures. Yeah.
I've seen some bug reports that are talking about pickaxes turning to axes and stuff, and it's something that I've tried to replicate, and I've seen evidence of happening before, but I've never seen it happen in live.
Henry said, what you had before was interesting. Hope you kind of keep it that way. You actually place the items in the container. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, what we're trying to do isn't going to be too far detached from that, but I think it was just that the original containers they were almost a bit too intuitive, as in like they were so far detached from anything that anyone was used to. It wasn't exactly how to use them. So really, we just wanted to change up the usability by keeping. We liked how the stuff kind of appears in the cupboards and stuff, but just the way in which you interact with the items was perhaps a little bit too different to really make sense. I mean, I'm probably being a little bit kind of broad when I'm talking about that, but that just generally that was kind of the feeling that we got from feedback. So hopefully, what we do will be just a bit more intuitive, but still keep the kind of the basics of actually having the physical items there.
Yeah, so there's a lot of balance and stuff that we've got to do with everything.
Including building items. So yeah, I mean, it might be worth talking a bit more about that. So I mentioned earlier that we fixed a bug with building items not costing the right amount of resources. So it's probably everyone worth being aware that it's because the cost is now what it should be. Is going to be taking. You're going to have to. Your starting resources are going to be burnt through a lot quicker. You're going to have to now sort of spend perhaps a bit more time in being invested in resource gathering, which is kind of as the game should be in a way. So I mean, it's not. I don't know that it's, from a game point of view, it's not a problem. But if you're looking to try out the game or test the game, or it's not quite as you remember it, then that's why. So you're going to have to be a bit more conscious of your resources.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to balance them slightly so you get more than one plank out of each one of these, because we're getting one plank at a time. I thought they made like 10 planks at a time.
Yeah, it's just one as far as I've always remembered. But I mean, it would make sense, especially if you're sawing up wood from like a log.
Mm.
Yeah.
GT says probably I would do the crafting while I'm on my phone if it would be possible. Yeah. Are you going to play the entire game just from your phone? Jaws of Extinction mobile.
Yeah. Energy's low. So food items that give you high energy is quite important. I need a tin opener.
It's happened. The need for tin opener.
So that's why that's one other thing that I don't think a lot of people understood is if you suddenly can't run anywhere, it's because as you lose energy, your movement speed slows down. So as you can see, as my energy goes up, Amy's picking up speed because she's regaining energy.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best advice I could give to someone new to the game right at the moment, which is food is really important, because with food you're going to run out of energy sooner or later, and it becomes a bit of a problem if you're not paying enough attention to your vitals.
Oh my
and you're
God, where
letting
did you
yourself
come from?
get energyless. Oh, my stream just got up. You're in trouble.
Committing suicide.
Oh, spoiler alert. Oh goodness. I don't know what it is about this patch, but I don't think it's anything specific to do with the Wanderers or their change of look, anything like that. I think it might just be the higher spawn rates and the slight changes to the environment. But when you get attacked by Wanderers, they always do seem to be coming out of nowhere now. They just it's always from like in bushes or like in a small gap in a fence or something. It's never where you expect them to be.
No. Yeah, and they are everywhere now as well. Everything loops has started to become a lot more important. There's still a lot of crap about that you don't need at the moment, but that it will all take its place eventually. But you just the whole idea about it at the moment is knowing and working out what you're going to need, rather than just filling up your inventory with a load of crap.
It's like realistic survival, to be honest, isn't it? If you were really stuck in a situation like this, you wouldn't just want to carry around guns and ammo. You'd need to be thinking about the long term, about whether or not you had enough water and whether you had enough food.
Definitely.
And if Wanderers drop sacks, I'll tell you now, they normally carry junk food. And chocolate bars and fizzy drinks are really good for energy. So make sure you loot. There you go. So if I open that up, oh, okay, prove me wrong. Battery and some bucks.
We were talking not too long ago about our preference of weapons in the game at the moment, and I think most of the dev team can agree that just for whatever reason, pistols they just feel better for those close quarters sort of situations. Just making sure you get the headshot. Oh yeah, that's a thing I don't think we've seen. But with all the new Wanderer clothing, I can't remember if I mentioned this at the start or not, but I'll say it again. With all the new Wanderer clothing, some varieties of Wanderer have helmets, which means putting off a headshot isn't necessarily going to work first time. You might end up knocking off their helmet, which is equal parts fun but also kind of terrifying because it means you gotta hit them twice.
Yeah.
It's a nice indoor plant.
Yeah.
Bit of decoration. There's your energy problem sorted.
Yep. You are full. still haven't done those bloody icons.
For low energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is something we want to do. Just some sort of on-screen notification to be like, yeah, you're on low energy, because you don't need a staff watch to tell you if you've got low energy.
Oh, thanks, Henry. Henry said, I keep saying this, but you guys are doing a great job, and you actually listen to your players. Keep it up, and you guys will be making an awesome game. Thanks.
Oh, cheers. Much appreciated.
It's like we've said before. We've all played we're gamers ourselves, so we played games and found things frustrating, and we know that it would be nice to be able to talk to the people making it to say, you know, and there are so many games companies that don't listen to the feedback, and that's a shame.
Or they listen to the feedback and then respond to it in the wrong way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We're gonna fix this, but we're gonna do something you don't like also.
It's running nice and smooth though. I don't know if that's sort of carrying across.
Yeah, it's
Let's hope so.
pretty good on YouTube, yeah.
I don't know if it's just me, but it's a smidge choppy, but that's probably just my internet.
It is a bit choppy. It doesn't look as nice as when you play it yourself, but
No,
it's not too bad.
I mean, I can tell that the game beneath the video is. I think if there's any lag, I don't think it's your experience. I think it's ours.
GT said, do you know what would be more scary if you run into a house from a horde and they are everywhere and begin to damage the door or the window?
Yeah.
And if those last only for a certain amount of time, that's probably worth mentioning about.
Yeah, we are going to eventually do that. But
Yep.
it's just all
Just jump.
what takes precedent.
Let's see.
Definitely.
If that's the right word.
I mentioned the AIV3, which is something that's kind of just an ongoing piece of work, really. And yes, that is it's really a way of just expanding the amount of things that the AI in the game can do. And a big part of that is going to be allowing them to do all the things you'd expect them to do, like vaulting or opening doors, bashing down doors, all that stuff. Maybe even some sort of climbing elements. So yeah, the extent to which the Wanderers will be able to handle situations like you being in a house is gonna definitely become a lot more. It's gonna become a lot more dangerous. I can tell you that much. You're gonna have to. Just closing your door isn't going to be enough. I'll just whiz through a few of the sort of smaller items of the last week, just in case anyone was interested in just hearing about some of the fixes. We have fixed it so that the camera shake doesn't happen during the inventory anymore if you open your inventory while running. There was a few cases where you'd have like a white box appear on your screen. I believe there might be still a couple of cases where that happens, but certainly when it happens due to getting on ladders or moving into water, that's now sorted. We've reduced the jamming chance slightly from the AK, mostly for our own sanity. During testing. What else? I think I mentioned that we've sorted out some of the camera stuff so that it's a lot, the camera movement is a bit more smooth when using the free look. So it used to jump a little bit and do some other funny things, but it's a bit more of a robust kind of thing now. Amy's hair will not appear at her feet anymore after using a campfire. That was fun.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, just a floating scalp. Yeah, there were some issues due to Amy's hair as well, where the hair was getting in the way of the first-person cameras. That's sorted. Yeah, I think those are the main ones.
Demented said, loving the feel and progress in this patch. Much creepier vibe, and surviving really feels like a thing now. Great work as always. Really excited to get my hands on this patch. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
What are we looking at for time?
We are at 20 past 9, so we've got 10 more minutes.
Okay. Is there any more questions? So do we want to talk about anything that we're planning on doing for the next patch? Or what's to come?
I mentioned earlier that we were looking into focusing on the starve system, particularly vitals, in the next week.
Yes.
So there was, it's worth mentioning that there was a bug which was fixed this week where if your energy got to 0 and then you replenished your energy, it wouldn't decrease anymore. That's fixed now. But we want to go a bit further, because in looking into that, it rather highlighted some things that we really need to change for the vitals in order for them to work really well. For example, at the moment it's very confusing how much energy you're going to get back when you eat multiple items together, and we want to make sure that it's doing it right. So there's going to be some changes. I think a lot of it is actually going to be happening kind of just in terms of the logic in the background, but some of that might extend to the more visual side of things with Starve Watch and so on. So that's our main focus for next week. That's not the only thing. We're going to be, stuff like working on AI things is a background thing that keeps going. We've got a bunch of things going on next week. It's going to be busy. I'm not sure what else I can say in terms of the next patch, but I think say Vital's main focus. I think, Ryan, you were mentioning, you were talking about Hanauton a little bit, about how about sort of progress in terms of its building it up. Now that the roadblocks are in and most of the areas are kind of where they should be, we may want to start looking more into things like interiors and sort of more specific areas.
Yes, so the way we planned doing the environment and the world is that we're starting at the starting zone, which is Hanauton, which is where I am at the moment, and moving our way out. So we're moving to different areas, different lore areas that are going to hold great amount of lore to the game and story elements, and then what we'll do is slowly move into other towns and other cities and then expand the map that way. But before I sort of like leave Hanauton, so we'll want to do all the interiors for all the houses to make sure that they look like they've been lived in, and make sure stuff is spawning in the correct locations and not spawning in walls and stuff like that. I'm wondering if we've got a zombie in the ground here.
Can you hear one?
I can see
It would be the first since we put the fix in.
No, she's not in the ground.
Hey.
She's waving.
Bye bye.
Hello.
There really are two kinds of fixes. There's the ones where you fix it and then you check and you test it and it's like it's either fixed or it's not. And then there are the other ones where you think where it's fixed and then it's like, okay, how can we make this happen? You know, it's not. I can see it's not happening here, but is it happening anywhere else? And you, I don't know. You always in the back of your mind you're thinking, is it fixed? Is it fixed? But I think as for Wanderers in the Ground, it's looking good. I say that though, the moment the patch goes out, I will absolutely find 12 people saying, well, I've got Wanderers in the Ground here. But that's how it goes. Hopefully not.
Demented said, when do we get military to fight? That's part of Scrub's Artificial Intelligence 3.
Yes,
thing,
yes, definitely. Yeah, they're just a kind of an aspect of that. They're going to have their own combat behaviours. Obviously, they're using guns. They're not, so they need to be built up differently. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to bringing those in, getting them to do some. There'll be a different element to the game. They'll have their own behaviours, their own strategies. You'll have to adapt yourself to work against them.
Yeah. Got a funny feeling some of the adjustments we made to the spawner is making stuff spawn in the ground. I mean, maybe releasing having to do a recook tomorrow.
Nothing.
Okay.
Ryan, what's your temperature in your
investigate it.
vitals? Sorry.
Temperature doesn't work at the moment. We just enabled it, just because we did the new vital thing. But
Yeah. Henry said I think it's minus 400.
yeah.
Bit nippy.
That doesn't work at the moment. It should
Maybe
be, it
I'll
should
find
be
something
disabled,
useful.
but I enabled it to.
Also, GT said, is it easier to aim, or you're getting better over time at that? I remember the first streams you were not that good.
I think it was the last patch that we did some stuff on the aiming. Yeah, it was. The aiming down the sight had some performance issues that really affected your ability to aim. So it's should be a bit better.
I've got chalky power. Need that.
Grab it while it's hot.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We've got 5 more minutes on the
What's
stream.
in here?
Okay. So you come to the pharmacy if you wanted to get health items. Most of the stuff I'm getting here is health kits, pills, and antibiotics, stuff like that. Again, all quite in abundance. But as the game progresses, and we will be balancing everything. Cool.
Okay.
Couldn't do that before.
Oh, you've got damage on barbed wire now.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I was gonna have a quick scout around and see if I can find a dude with a helmet.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't really seen any, have we?
Sorry. While you're doing that, Henry said, ask Ryan if he gets an FPS spike when he recycles anything from the ground.
Yes, that they do. It's because the sorry. Yes. You will do. But until we fix something that will constantly happen. It's only items that you do recycle from the ground that it does it though, and sometimes if you harvest trees.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll need to have a think about how to solve that. That is a trickier issue.
Food store, we can get can openers. Yes, exactly. You'll find can openers in the food, or you'd be more likely to find can openers in the food store.
Yeah.
Quite a precious resource, though. In a real zombie apocalypse, can openers, I should imagine.
I saw a really cool video once of someone who managed to open a can of food by it was like an asphalt road, and then he found this technique of like rubbing the can against the road, and it sort of like wore away the lid.
It's the seal around it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't on a road, it was just on a rock.
Oh really?
That's cool, yeah. When I take soup to work, I don't bother taking a can opener, I just punch a hole in the top with a knife. It tends to work. Henry said the reason I ask is because sometimes I think it's my PC and not the game. Yeah, it's not your...
No, the spawn rate of can openers isn't on you.
No,
They're just rare.
No, he's not talking about that. He's talking about the lag speed.
Oh, no, oh yeah.
That reminds me, you did ask earlier, Henry, and I forgot to say that Henry asked if this game was going to run in his potato yet.
Probably not.
Well, I mean, probably not the settings that Ryan's playing on.
Rust has been in development for nearly 7 years, and it's only just got a potato setting.
If you're having trouble with performance, the first thing I would suggest is turning down shadows, because they are like this is true of most games anyway. But shadows tend to be quite costly, and you can get away with turning them down quite low and not affecting the game too much. So that's where I'd start, and then just try going through the settings bit by bit. Texture detail is one of the things you can keep fairly high, which don't necessarily cost a huge amount of GPU anyway. Whereas there's lots of effects and things you can turn off that will help.
Let's see. Maybe I'll find something useful.
Wrexham said rust is a waste and they need to quit, lol. Right.
Not find any firemen's or any
Builders.
road workers. Builders.
Thing is, I've definitely seen builders without them. It's just, I think we've just been a bit unlucky.
Yeah. Yeah. One other thing that will be coming in a bit later down the line with AIV3 is infected wanderers will be able to also vote.
Yeah. I think I mentioned the voting and like opening doors, all that kind of motion stuff that you'd expect them to do.
All right, that brings us to 9:30.
Dang.
Well, I didn't find any.
I kind of was really hoping for to find a helmet guy. That.
Well, we can keep going for a little bit, but that's...
I just run up here, see if we find anything. I don't see the point of leaving Hanout at the moment.
Yeah.
Shade said, will there be a separate setting for turning down the screaming?
I think the screaming comes under effects. I might be wrong on that, but So would you be interested in a separate audio thing for Wanderer audio, so you could turn that down independently?
You may be shooting yourself in the foot doing that, though.
Yeah, I think that probably the volume of the Wanderers is something we'll tweak over time to make sure that it lends itself to the atmosphere and playability.
I mean, frankly, to some extent. I mean, obviously, again, to some extent, they should be a little bit uncomfortable to listen to, just because of what they're doing. Obviously, if it's too much, then that's a problem.
But we have we did make some changes to that with the amount of audio that spawns at one time.
That's true, yeah. I guess that wouldn't necessarily affect the loudness, but it might at least help the audio seem a bit more clean.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had my audio turned down as well, but just another little thing is, of course, with new male wanderers, we've got male screaming, so there's a bit more variety.
Yeah.
No helmets this time. Maybe we'll have helmets next time.
Yeah, maybe if you guys play and find a helmet infected,
Link us up.
take a
screenshot,
screenshot and put it on our Discord.
Helmets confirmed.
But,
I want to see it.
Definitely is. There's firemen and road workers at the moment. More to come, including riot zombies. Zombies.
And then I don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So, yeah. This is supposed to have a paid volume on it. I don't know why it's not.
Have to have a look.
Yeah.
Alright then.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining, everyone. Patch coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. Wrexham said it's not about the loudness of the screamer for the player, but for the wife complaining in the background. Invest in some headphones for your wife. Right, night all. Thanks for joining us.
See you later.
Bye, folks.